So today is, I think that is lesson 8, and we are going to talk today about why do companies have different colors and different names and different colors, and how do they create logos, and why do they create the logos, and what do a logo means. And the important thing, why do you think that companies choose a name, and why would they choose a name? So why do you think that the name of a company represents? If you think about different companies, Sophia.
Because the company needs a name, because otherwise you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm just going there. It's because it doesn't have a name, so you can't really tell people where you're going. It's because otherwise, if it doesn't have a name, then you're not really sure what kind, like if it has a brand or anything.
Okay, and what do you think that the name means, Isabella? What should the name means? So everybody, we all have names. So you are called Isabella, Sophia is called Sophia, and everybody gets to know each other because of the names. But why do you think that when you are selecting a name for a company, why do you think that people select the names?
Because first of all, a name represents and make
very good. So
like the company what it
represents the company.
And
okay.
With a name, you can't say it's a shop that sells hats.
Yes.
You can't call it the shoe shop because it sells hats. If you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
It needs to be a strong, bold name that people know about your company.
And if, for example, if we take a company like Apple, okay, because you're saying that there are companies. If you have somebody like Apple, you will think that Apple sell apples, but they don't sell apples. So why do you think that they selected Apple? Isabella?
It's quite a bold name.
It's bold, okay.
Compared to, I don't know.
It's bold.
Say the name Floppy, it's a bit.
Okay, so you think Apple. What do you think, Sophia?
Because they have an apple on every single product they sell. So it's their logo and it's telling them
yes,
what their
but
logo
that's
is.
after they did it. So that's right. So all the companies will put their logo. So Apple will say, put it in all the Apple. They put the logo because that's how people recognize them. But why do you think that they call their company Apple when they sell technology? So they sell iPhones and computers. Why do you think that they? Because it seems crazy that somebody says, I'm going to sell computers and I'm going to sell IT. But I'm going to call the company Apple. And Isabella was right. Isabella was the right track because it's bold. Okay, so sometimes why people select a name is not because it goes with the product they are selling. It's because they think that if I call something an Apple or I get something like Microsoft or something else, the name Apple is easy understood. Like is quite for everybody. So. Or it's easy to put a logo and everybody will replicate it. Isabella?
It's different, and being different's a good thing.
It's different, exactly. The other thing that some people do it is because there are some things that are very easy if you want to go internationally. So Apple may be recognized in China, in India, in Latin America, and it's quite easy for everybody to say Apple. So it's quite easy to recognize. What else do you think that? Why do you think that they would have selected Apple? Maybe because the owner, who is the owner of Apple, who invented Apple, It's a guy called Steve Jobs. Maybe what he thought was that if you call something Apple, he really liked apples. We don't know, do we? Because he may have been inspired of the idea of creating his company when he was looking at an apple. But also there are lots of things about apples. For example, what stories do you know about apples? How do they, what is
Adam and Eve.
Exactly, Adam and Eve. Other stories about apples. Who discovered the fact that things that are up always come down?
Was it Albert Einstein?
Yeah, so things like that. So an apple, is how they discover that things come up and they have to come down and everything happens. So all that stuff is different. So it may be that he thought, an apple symbolizes things that have changed the world. And things that have changed the world, Isabella.
The core of an apple is always very strong.
The core of an apple is very strong, so that goes with the culture of the company and the name of the company, because he wants to symbolize the fact that, the apple. What else do you think is, and you said, Sophia, for example, that sometimes you select a name because then you can have a logo that is quite easy, right? So sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to do a name, and that name tree is going to be very easy because then later on I can put trees everywhere and the trees are quite easy to do. Or some companies select the name of individuals. So if Isabella was going to create a company, she may decide that her company is going to be called IAB, that are her initials. And it's not because that's a cool name, it's because some companies, they just want to have like initials. So for example, Kellogg's, you know, the cereals, Kellogg is the surname of a company that, you know, the surname of the family is the Kellogg family. And everybody always goes, oh, what cereals do you want? And some people just go Kellogg's. But it's not because Kellogg has to do with cereal, it's because of that. The other thing that is, for example, you know Hoovers? You know, a Hoover, for example, is not what the machine, it's the name of a company. And everybody thinks of a vacuum cleaner, because that's what it is, as a Hoover. And that is what's so important to think about the name of the company, because you want to make sure that if it grows, it represents the company, okay? It represents your culture. So the name shouldn't be just, you know, the Isabella company. It should be a name that represents your company and that you can sell. And if somebody asks you, remember that when people want to buy something from you, they don't buy a lot of the products. They also buy because they trust in the company. So one of the things here is an Apple gift trust. Okay, so it's trust. But also because people like a story, so people like to know where you started, okay, and why you started. So they like to know why, what, and where. So the question is, why did you start your company? For what reason? So you can tell them, oh, because I thought about a problem and then a solution, and I didn't have much money, and I always wanted to do that, and I was inspired for that. What? People want to know, what are you doing? Yes? What products do you sell? And the other thing that they want to know is where you are going. Are you going to grow? Are you going to invent new products? Are you going to be better in the future? And that's what your name should represent. And then what Sophia said is you create a logo and you say, oh, my company is called Sophia, you know, cupcakes, because it represents what I sell, the cupcakes. I think that is a really strong, everybody will say Sophia Cupcakes, and it's a really catchy name, so it's quite easy to advertise. And then I can put a really nice S with a cupcake and it will look really cool. And then I will select colors that replicate, so there are colors that are different colors, have different meanings. So there are loads of studies about colors, but for example, people say that a red color, it attracts people and it's like a strong color, while a blue color means that it's peaceful, that it's relaxing. Well, a yellow color is like the sun, so it starts in the morning, so it's very bright. But that's what you have to think. So the homework for you was to create a company name, and you're going to tell me why you created it, why the logo, and why the colors. So who is going to start? So Sophia, go on, you start. Stand up. Okay, go on.
So my company name's Imagination, okay. And I created this logo.
Oh wow!
Because it shows people reading, and it's like your imagination. So like a rainbow reminds me of imagination. So I chose it because I think the rainbow does represent the imagination, and then it shows that it's a bookshop with a little girl reading.
Very good. And so the company that you have is a company that sells books, and sells books for kids and for adults, or only for kids?
It's a mixture, so there's it's for kids, adults, whatever.
Okay, and so you put a little girl in the front that is reading a book. Why did you put a little girl reading a book?
Because it shows that everyone can have an imagination any age. It's because if they're really little, then they can still have a really good imagination to read. That's
fantastic. Well done. So we have a company that is called Imagination, and it's going to do books. And you see the company is not called the book company, it's called Imagination. But behind that, you thought about why it was being called Imagination. You thought about the girl, and you thought about the colors, and you thought about the logo. So you have everything together. So it's a great idea. Now, Isabella, well done. Yeah.
My company's called DGA.
Okay.
It's
an online program while the coronavirus is going on, which will be uploaded like every other day, which children, well, any age can do, but it's roughly aimed at maybe teenagers kind of. And it's dance, gymnastics and acro, which will be shown online that children can do during the coronavirus.
Okay, and that's what DHA means. So DHA stands for?
Dance, gymnastics, acro.
Okay, and then you have a picture of somebody doing gymnastics. And why did you select the colours?
I think the colours are quite bold and like it shows different moods and like what you can include in dance through the different colours. Because like blue, can, like you said, is quite peaceful, but then gymnastics, everything's like always straight and perfect, so it's kind of like more bold, and acro is kind of just like a mix of the two.
Perfect. And if somebody asks you, you know, who is doing the exercises, because you said it's going to be an app, so you're saying that it is going to be for different ages, but mainly for young people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. You know, that's a fantastic. So again, this one is different because the company has the initials of what it's about, but the logo makes very clear that it's like an exercise company, which is great because straight away you know that it's going. And the other thing that you have is that as soon as you see it, you think, oh, you know, that looks like something that is interesting and that is very easy to replicate. So that's really good. Well done, Isabella. Sophia.
If the whole world was like in, if it wasn't in lockdown even, how would you get to do it with them? Would it still be online, or would you do an online, or would you have like a studio that they could still go to do it live?
In a way, it was inspired by like Joe Wicks, and so he does like videos every day of like on YouTube, and so this would also be put onto YouTube and there'd be an app of it. And if it were to get like good, I would do it for different, more variety of ages, and maybe get products from to sell.
So that's fantastic. So we have two different companies, and the good thing about it is that in both of them you explain, and I haven't showed you this before, you explain why you put the name, how it represents your company, and we saw that there are different types of why you do it or not doing it. We reply to the why, what and where. Sophia?
With my company, I didn't really think about this, but kind of getting like an idea from Isabella's, you could probably, with the book, you could like take pictures of the book pages and enlarging them, and then you could post them like on, like make your online thing, and then you can post, like put the pictures for the whole book, and then you could maybe
and
do
that's
that.
the where. That's if somebody asks you where you're going, you answer why the name, you know, how it represents and the colors. They ask you what do you do, and you both were able to say what you do. And now you're saying where you're going. So Isabella said, well, I'm going to put an app and I'm going to change it, and because everybody at the moment is at home. And you're saying, well, I have ideas all the time, and that's the important thing, to have ideas all the time of where you're going. But what is important is that the names represent the company, and sometimes that's called culture. Okay, every company should build a culture, and the culture of a company is built of many, many things. It's built of how people are treating the company, so how kind you are, how you sell yourself. Other things that you have with your name, for example, is how you dress. So if you had the company that Sophia has, Imagination, I would assume that she will have jumpers that are very colorful and with loads of colors like rainbows, because when people come, the whole company will look like a rainbow. And Isabella will have maybe the logo, will have letters, or have something completely different that people can see. Sophia?
I also chose the rainbow because like the rainbow colours stand out a lot better, and you can just use rainbow for anything really.
Yeah.
With mine, I chose the logo because like instead of writing DGA on everything, you can put, say, like for leotards, you just put it at the bottom and it represents your company.
Exactly, and the good idea about this, and maybe your rainbow may have to have different colors, because everybody knows the color of the rainbow, but you may want to change 2 or 3 colors to make it unique. And Isabella one in the future she may not need to put DGA, because if her company grows so fast and is so well known, she may just put the logo and everybody knows, oh, that's DGA. But that's the whole idea of a company, of how you project yourself, because people see you differently all the time. Well, we have learned about that today. Tomorrow we're going to learn about something different, and we're going to learn about supply chains. So, and that's quite interesting, because for every product that we have, so the finished product, we have to have people that have worked before to give us that product. So if we have a cup of coffee, we have to learn, where does the coffee come from? Who did the coffee? Who was the one that, you know, and what is the process? Because everybody in that line are going to have to give us some help. So the first thing is the person that, you know, put the coffee on the ground. But it should go before that, because somebody had to buy the seed, and somebody has to put that in the land, and then somebody had to take care of the plants. So we're going to think about everything from the start to the finish.
It's like going back, but then like you have the coffee now, but then who would have bought it? But then who would have bought it from who? And then who would have got the seed from where?
So we're going to learn all about that tomorrow. You know, what do you think? How far do we have to go to think about who does what in the supply chain, and how do I do it, and how many people do you need that you depend on?
It's probably the first question that you would ask. How did it get there?
How do you get there? Exactly. So we will ask that tomorrow. Okay? Think about it. How do you get to have a hot coffee on your hands?
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.